Afternoon everyone, Ian from DIY Home and Gardening. 22nd November, freezing my arse off at the allotment, and yeah, I thought I would show you how I lift and store the dahlias. So let's turn the camera around, shall we? Okay, so we've had a week of temperatures been in the minus figures, however you want to phrase it, and so really that signals the end of the dahlias in their growth stage, and they're gone into dormancy or dieback, however you want to phrase it, and so now is the time to lift. All I've done previously, as you can see, is cut back to the leaf joints to keep the relatively solid sections, which I covered in my last video, so this is continuation. And now we're at that stage where it's time to lift. Now the reason that you wait until this stage till you get the frost is because you're really trying to make sure that the plants put on as much tuber formation as possible, and they will continue to put on tuber size growth all the time and until they go into dormancy phase. And dormancy phase is only triggered by soil temperatures dropping below the 15 degrees and totally stops once the frosts arrive. Now I've left canes in on that one as a bit of an indication to myself, and equally I didn't cut back that one as an indication to myself. So this one is an easy one to deal with. Within my cuttings, I thought I'd planted in rows of 3s or 5s, as the case may be, same varieties. Wasn't until it got to flowering stage that I realised that this was in fact Kiwi Gloria and not Abercorn Sunrise. So as a reminder, I've left the plant, I've not cut it back, but I do want the plant, so I'm going to lift that, make sure it's labelled accordingly as Kiwi. And this one I left really just with the sole purpose of showing it for the video. This one is no good, and so I made a point of leaving the canes to be able to show you. So this one here, the telltale signs of gall, which is these cauliflower-like formations all in one tight cluster. So that tuber is no use. It's it's not going to be one that I keep. And so it's just going to be lifted and chucked away. You don't have to worry about burning it or whatever, because by the time we get to 2 seasons time, when that's composted down in said compost bin, the bacteria pathogens will be done anyway. Won't be an issue at all with using that on the beds. So for the time being, that is going the journey and onto the pile, which then leaves me with everything else that is clean stock and stuff that I'm going to lift. So let me set the camera up and just explain how I do it. Right, for this, unfortunately I've got to wear the thin gloves, because otherwise just haven't got that dexterity of movement. So border fork, smaller tines or closer together, gives more support around the tuber, so you can just whack that in for the time being. Start off about a foot away from where the centre of the plant is, and just working round, loosen it up. You don't want to pull the whole thing up in one go, because you will break the tuber. no two ways about that. And then get the fork all the way down and under to lift, and then try and get some of the excess soil away, so you're reducing the weight, the pressure on that tuber as you're pulling up. So it's all about protecting that tuber. Now this is Barberry Surprise. Like a lot of the barberries, it's notoriously poor at developing tubers, and so as a consequence, a bit of a pain to propagate from. So all I'm doing, just taking off the excess soil. Be a little bit careful around the neck piece here, because this is where the buds and the eyes, or the eyes more correctly, will form, and that's what going to produce your cutting material for the spring. And when you watch so many of these videos, they all show you a nice picture on the video with all these eyes visible. Well, most of the time on most of the varieties that is not the case. You won't be able to see anything at this time of year, certainly not when the plants have gone into dormancy like this. If you're lifting and when the plants haven't gone into dormancy, then yeah, you will see the eyes, because they'll be still actively trying to grow. So we got that as it is. Now whip the label out for the time being, then cutting down a couple of inches above, because that's ideal. I mean, basically, if you think about it, the moisture is trapped in everything that was living, and as we want the tubers to be drying out over the winter period, you want less moisture. The more moisture that's present, the greater the chance of tuber rot you've got. So you either stick your label back in like so, or what I tend to do and like to do with these plastic labels, they come with a hole in the bottom already, but you do need to take your gloves off for this. Come with a hole already, and just using some of the string that you've used for your tying up throughout the season, push that through like so, tie that around the neck of the plant, or neck of the tuber, and tight enough so it's not going to fall off, but not loose that it's going to fall off as well. And that is it. And so that's into the crate, and you can see the difference between the two. So this one I lifted the other day, just as a by the by, and that one's the finished article. Oh, it is cold, properly cold without gloves on. But you can see that it started, the cold had got into it, so needs to be done. And there is no easy method of lifting the dahlias. Believe me, I've tried thinking of different ways, but there isn't. And I say, if you do it too early, you just won't get that tuber formation. And also, if you lift early, they're still actively growing, so you sort of you're trying to get a plant to go into dormancy whilst it's still awake, and they don't enjoy that. That's when you end up with the tubers tending to break down quickly. The other thing to consider or to bear in mind is that it's only once you get the temperatures below the 15 degrees that these tubers start hardening off. They develop a hard skin to them, and that's going to protect it. If you lift too early, you get a nice clean white tuber, hasn't got the hardening to it, and that's the time when they rot and decompose quite quickly upon lifting. So yeah, you've actually got more chance of losing the stock by lifting too early than you have now. So yeah, I'll get some of these lifted, and then we'll get a few tubers back to the house, and I'll show you next stage. So just coming up to 4 o'clock, dug the last couple of tubers up. These are Mary's Germander. Haven't got space for these to come back home tonight because I've got all of that lot to try and wheel home, and it's chucking it down with rain. And I've also got the Abercorn Sunrise there, light and softer gleam. So there's 5 tubers of that, 5 of Abercorn Sunrise. Then I've got Winham Diane, Tracy Diane, and I think there's Straight Germander over the back there. But yeah, other than that, that's all the Dahlias lifted. This bed down there, first bed, and then the water lily types down there. So get these home and set them up. Right, okay, so we're back home in the garage. I wouldn't say it's any warmer, but marginally warmer perhaps. 2 journeys, so I've got the Dahlias lifted here and all of the ones in the wheelbarrow as well. It got to that point where it's getting a little bit dark for tying everything on, so some of it I have just whacked the labels in the individual trays. So this is kind of like the next stage on really for how to prepare the Dahlias for the winter. Now I'm sure if you're looking on YouTube, then you're interested in Dahlias. You've probably seen loads and loads of videos and loads of posts of other people, how they do things, and a good proportion of what I would call garden growers or amateur growers do a video showing their Dahlias and then washing all the Dahlia tuber down with cold water. And indeed that's what I did when I first started doing it, and it's fine when you've only got the odd 1 or 2 plants. It's also fine when you're doing it in warmer conditions. Because we're at the back end of November now and it's 5 degrees outside at the moment, if I suddenly chuck these tubers into a load of water, let's give you this as an example. Which one is this? So that's Cornell. Alright, it's got soil on it. If I chuck it in water to try and get all this soil off, all I'm going to be doing is adding a load more moisture to the tubers and the surrounding bit of the tuber. It's not really going to do a lot to it. It's going to get rid of the soil, but it's going to add a load more moisture into that mother plant, which again I keep coming back to. When we're cold temperatures, if you're just looking to store your tubers in a cold environment, you've got more potential of that cold and the moisture just sitting within that tuber and potentially causing failure or rot within that tuber zone itself. So I don't wash the tubers anymore. Let me show you what I do. Let's just pop this out. Tell you what, I'll tie that one on before I end up getting it mixed up. Won't take long. Right, okay, so let's use this one as it's got a tuber, obvious tuber to it. So all I tend to do is, as we've done already, we've cut back the main stem to a couple of inches above the tuber, and the whole purpose, again, look at Cornell. It's cut right the way back, so we've just got the neck there, and then a couple of bits which is where the main stems were. The reason being is that all the stems are the bits that are going to hold a load of moisture as well. So scrape off or tap off some of the compost if you want. I tend to do a little bit of this. If you're in newly planted grounds outside, it's probably worth having a proper look because of the potential for things like wireworm. Also have a look for normal earthworm, but to be honest, they're not really an issue. So we'll just knock some of that off. And then you've got a couple of different methods of how you treat with this. So you can get secateurs, scissors, snip off some of this more fibrous stuff, sort of the spidery bits, to just maintain and just leave this thick tuber. So we'd snip those off, and so this is what I tend to do. Is, cut those bits off. Those these sort of thin spider webby type bits don't offer us anything at this moment in time. Also, you've got a damaged piece there, so they don't offer us anything. All they're going to do is eventually dry down anyway. Plant won't regrow from there, so you don't need them. Right, let's just pop that to one side. Newspaper. And so this is just how I do it, and to be honest, how a lot of other commercial guys, show growers do it. Newspaper into the bottom of the crate. Which works just the same as if you got a, other box or whatever. It doesn't really have to be. It doesn't have to be a crate. So in that way, it's just creating these upturns into the box. Let's pop that one in there. Well, actually, so first method, we got a crate and leave it upturned, leave the tuber upturned like that, stems hanging down, and leave it just to sit like that for a couple of weeks in a warm environment, frost-free, above about 8-10 degrees, and that's going to be fine. Won't have to worry about that. Option 2, which is option I go with, again we start off with the same bit, just mainly cleaning around the neck. And it's worth mentioning as well, with like your option 1, as it dries out, then that soil will fall away naturally, so you don't need to worry about washing it down. But I mean, just looking at this, you can see how much moisture is in here. Imagine if you then put it into a tub of cold water, you're just really going to compound some of the potential problems. So we've got 3 tubers of Barberry Surprise. Try and get them in so they sit right. They won't sit right. Just do that. Get gloves on. And straight in with putting some compost around them. If it's dry compost, it's even better. This is not too bad. It's been in the greenhouse, so it's all right. So yeah, just whacking the compost around it, which is going to insulate around those roots and tubers, and it's going to give the plant or the tuber something to start growing into once it gets into some warmth. And when we come to setting these up for getting going, you don't actually need to have the whole tuber covered for getting these going. Well, that's the first variety done. That is Barberry Surprise, all set up, ready for winter. And that is, yeah, simple as it gets, really. That's how I do it. That's how a lot of commercial guys do it. And showwomen, just got all this lot now to tackle. But for now, I'm going to go in, warm up a little bit, and see you in the morning, and I'll show you where they go. Okay, so in the greenhouse, currently reading 9.3 degrees in here. Heated benches have been turned on, set up, watered and power on, so they are sand beds with the heating elements that run through, and as a result of that, what you need to do is you need to have the moisture within the sand for the heat to be able to effectively conduct between the sand particles to heat the entire bed and ensure consistent temperature. So yeah, it's set to 18 degrees, so got a fair way to travel up, but it's only been on for a short while. Got the first couple of trays done, so these are the Barberry Surprise, and then that one there's got Western Harry, Western Ella Grace I should say, and some Western Ella Grace seedlings, which featured within the YouTube videos, the allotment tours this year, which is sort of a strawberry and cream sort of effect to it. So the first couple of trays on the go there. And then on the heat mat, I then have all the other dahlias. Now these are pot tubers. So essentially started as cuttings in springtime when I took the cuttings for all of this lot, which were planted out. But instead of planting out, the cuttings just got potted on into the 1 litre pots. And that is how they've stayed. So they stayed just in the garden or on the patio, allowed to grow, allowed to flower. The pot restricts the tuber formation, but it gives you a nice little tuber. I haven't actually had a look at one, I'll be honest, but I don't even, yeah, won't even come out. Hold on, let's try and get it out. There we are. So this is what we're looking at. So you can see, nice little pot tuber there. And it's very compact. And if you're ordering from someone like Halls of Heddon and you're requesting a pot tuber, that is essentially what you're getting, although they grow theirs in a smaller pot. But yeah, so essentially this is a pot tuber which, given a little bit of heat as it's on now, will then hopefully flush up a load of earlier cuttings for me than perhaps the field tubers will do. And I'm doing it this method this year, trying it this way, to see how how well the pot tubers do to give me cuttings for the start of next year, as to whether this then becomes a bit of a way of saving a load of space in the greenhouse, because obviously two of those, or two plants of those, is a lot less space than a crate. So within this bench here, I've got a lot more varieties than what was planted at the allotment. At the back, got Jumanda, Cornell Bronze, Blighton Softer Gleam, Normal Cornell, Normandy Farewell, Calgary Ann, Sir Richard, Skelmersdale Jane, Mary's Jumanda, Kilburn Glow, Pam Howden, Kiwi Gloria, which are those, Westerton Harry, Winome Diane, Rycroft Huntsman, Rycroft Jill, Willow's Violet, Barbary Surprise, Blackjack, Westerton Ella Grace, Hyperminto, and Jacindy Hercules. And yeah, so there's quite a lot of varieties there. But yeah, basically, as you can see, this is how I start all the tubers, overwinter the tubers, and yeah, with a bit of heat, that give me early cuttings to take, well, for getting the plants ready for starting the cycle all over again for 2026. Okay, that's it. That's the video done. Rather a long video on this occasion, but does cover a lot of stuff that, well, quite frankly, people ask about and want to know. How to lift the dahlias ready for winter, how to clean them up, and then more importantly, how to store the dahlias for winter, and also, I suppose, how to set them up ready for spring for next year. And it also gives you a bit of an insight in the difference between those pot tubers there and the field tubers there. But yeah, so that's the video done. If you've got any questions, then obviously send the questions to me. I'll do my very best to answer them for you. If you've liked the video, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so I don't miss out on the future videos that I do. And above all else, just enjoy yourself, have fun, and if dahlias are your thing, then perhaps, well, look up as to what other varieties are available, and see how other people grow them. Perhaps grow some yourself to try and show in some of the local and national shows next year. So, till next time, bye for now.